Find a way to state the uncomfortable thing, because probably most of the other people around you are also uncomfortable about this.
At a certain point, in a sufficiently toxic environment, sometimes the best thing that you can do is partition your life. So the more you kind of try to shape yourself into a toxic environment, and the more hurt you are by the toxic environment, the more likely you are to perpetuate the toxic environment. And now it just gets worse and worse and worse.
And we can do the same thing if one-on-one, if speaking that up in the group is too scary. So the big picture heuristic I'm sensing here then is, one, if something isn't fitting, then talk about it. And two, find a way to talk about it that fits into that environment, that culture. What do we do then if the culture is we don't talk about things? And I can't just go find another job because reasons.
Yeah. I mean, you also get to decide. This is why consent is so important. At a certain point, in a sufficiently toxic environment, sometimes the best thing that you can do is partition your life so that you can create safety for yourself and not be as affected. I mean, you can't not be affected. We are all still human. But I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's a healthy thing in general, for anybody, because there's a phrase, I don't know if it's a Brene Brown phrase or if it's somebody else, but hurt people hurt people. So the more you kind of try to shape yourself into a toxic environment, and the more hurt you are by the toxic environment, the more likely you are to perpetuate the toxic environment. And now it just gets worse and worse and worse. So it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for anybody else in the organization to perpetuate that. But sometimes, from a survival standpoint, I need this job because I need my health care in the US. Healthcare is tied to your employment. And if you need the job because you need your health care, you need the job because you need the salary, you don't have a big buffer, you don't have the luxury of being without an income, and the job market blows, yeah, you might choose that you are simply going to partition your life such that what you bring to work isn't your whole self. It is the part of you that has enough heat shield to deal with the toxicity. I don't recommend it, but I recognize that it is a necessity if it's, the only way that you can stay safe enough. I would suggest putting out trial balloons occasionally, because sometimes what happens is the call is coming from inside the house. And what feels like it would be disastrously unsafe actually is the moment of courage that unlocks something for the rest of the organization too. So trying occasionally, put something that's a little bit daring out there and see what the reception is. You might be able to shift the culture enough that you don't have to partition yourself. Also, keep interviewing.
This reminds me of the offered suggestion in group environments that ask the quote dumb question, because whatever question you have, almost certainly 80% of everyone else has also. So find a way to state the uncomfortable thing, because probably most of the other people around you are also uncomfortable about this. And painful as it is to anticipate, pricking that boil and letting all the pus run out and be a goopy mess for a little bit can actually then bring healing way faster than it feels like it's going to, while we are looking at the pin and the sore and resisting that first poke.
I'm sorry, that was very visceral. Ew. I acknowledge the accuracy.
This is a great
Yeah.
example of what we're talking about, that I inadvertently caused you harm with the metaphor I picked.
As harms go, this was
Yeah.
nothing. We're all good. It's all good.
Which is great.
Um,
There's
no,
that
you're
moment
reminding me.
where there was still that moment where you were in distress.
Oh no! As distress goes, like you said,
Yes.
we're all good. You're reminding me of how I have experienced where when someone is finally willing to say the truth, it's like breaking a dam. Because now other people are willing to say, yeah, you're right. There is no way we're making that deadline. You're right. There's no way this architecture is ever going to work. You're right. This gigantic rewrite that we have embarked upon is a terrible idea, or whatever the thing is, right? Like the truth that nobody was willing to acknowledge because they were afraid. And this is actually what I mean by the call is coming from inside the house, where oftentimes the fears are not because of the current environment. They're because of the accumulated set of experiences that people have had, coupled with a sense of insecurity that comes from, I can't afford to lose this job. And it can be so freeing. I at one point in one job, I got the nickname of Namer of Elephants, because I felt secure enough. Like, you can fire me, that's fine. And there is power in feeling like, I'm going to do the very best that I can and act in integrity and say what I believe to be true, and do that with kindness and not ever trying to attack or blame the people in the system, but still be willing to basically say, hey, I can't help but notice that this group appears to make decisions where silence is considered consent, and I don't think it is. Can we check that assumption? That's a terrifying thing to say in a group setting, because now everybody's on the spot. And there will be shuffling of chairs and feet and weird looks, because now I'm inviting them to say what's true for them. And then if somebody does and is like, yeah, I know I didn't say anything, but I actually think that this is the wrong path. Now you get to shift the conversation and have the right the real conversation. But it takes somebody who basically is willing to say, yeah, I'll put it all on the line. You could fire me. It's okay.